My name is Jennifer Hiltwein, and I'm a member of the CRCF team here at the Center for Innovative Technology. Today's webinar is intended to provide just a brief overview of the CRCF program, as well as the solicitation, and then to walk you through the letter of intent, or the LOI process for the FY2015 round. I'll go through the prepared presentation and take any questions that you have at the end. To ask a question, if you could please use the questions function on your webinar panel. And I have, as I mentioned earlier, muted all participant audio. So if you do have any questions or if you can't hear me or anything along those lines, please just let me know. I'll make the recorded presentation available on our website for future reference here in the next couple of days. So if there's anything that you missed or would like to revisit, you can access it that way as well. With that, let's get started. So the graphic on your screen shows the CRCF programs as part of the innovation continuum. As you can see, the work is primarily focused in the research, the proof of concept or invention, and the early stage development stages of this continuum. I'd like to take just a moment to call your attention to the Commonwealth Research and Technology Strategic Roadmap, which is the yellow band at the very top of the screen. So the roadmap is a separate but related CIT initiative that spans all stages of the innovation continuum. Under this initiative, CIT assesses the research and commercialization activities of Virginia's colleges and universities, our research institutions, and our large and small companies in order to gain a sense of the type of work and areas of focus of the Commonwealth's assets. From the roadmap are derived the industry sectors which are eligible for CRCF award. And I'll talk about these sectors a little bit later in the presentation. CRCF and the roadmap have been in existence since 2011, and we've seen many successes across Virginia. As you can see from the bottom middle statistics, since its inception, CRCF has received 400 applications and invested nearly $14 million in 146 projects. Last year alone, across 2 separate solicitations, we received 96 applications and made 52 awards totaling $4.2 million. Some noteworthy projects over the last several years have been those such as work in cancer diagnostics and treatment, diabetic therapies, and cyber and infrastructure securities, just to name a few. We continue to see patents filed or licensed, companies formed, and new products introduced to market. Now to look at this current solicitation. This year, CRCF was appropriated $2.8 million. A single limited submission solicitation is underway. The limited submission aspects affects all programs, as submission caps do exist, but I especially call this out for our university applicants. Most Virginia colleges and universities have many interested faculty researchers, but only a handful of submissions that they can submit. University faculty interested in applying should get in contact with their offices of sponsored programs or their offices of research to learn of their particular school's internal processes. 6 programs are available under this solicitation for Virginia's private sector, academia, research community, and political subdivisions. Today's webinar won't dive into these specific programs, but if you do have questions, feel free to ask at the end. Specific details addressing program goals, eligibility, and other criteria are provided online on CIT's website. A URL will be provided later in the presentation. Especially important to note are the program-specific guidelines also available via that link. There are a handful of key dates to keep in mind during this solicitation. The RFP was officially announced on Friday, November the 14th. The first important deadline is for letters of intent, which we'll discuss in detail today. LOIs are due by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, December the 16th. Those invited to continue in the process and submit an application must do so by 5 p.m. on Friday, January the 31st. Late submissions for LOIs or applications will not be accepted. Award announcements are planned for early June 2015. Letters of intent are a required element of the CRCF application process. They help CIT to gauge proposal interest and activity and in identifying subject matter experts for the review process. As I mentioned a few moments ago, LOIs may be submitted anytime between now and December the 16th. The LOI, which we'll see on the next screen, requests the organization's name, location, and tax ID number. It also asks for the organization type. As you may recall from program eligibility, certain organization types are only eligible for certain programs. Once the organization type is selected on the LOI, you'll see only those programs that are open to you. Please consult program guidelines carefully to determine which programs you best align with. All LOIs will also request the principal investigator's name and contact information, the project title, the primary industry sector with which the work most closely aligns, and a brief project description, up to 2,000 characters. Additionally, LOIs that are intended for the private sector programs, commercialization, and SBIR and STTR matching funds are asked to provide more information about the company and the federal awards. For the SBIR and STTR matching funds programs, CRCF will accept applications for federal projects submitted or to be submitted in calendar year 14, even if an award has not yet been made. Should the project be recommended for award under CRCF, funding would be contingent upon receipt of the SBIR or STTR award. Importantly for all projects, the project title and primary technology sector provided in the LOI cannot be changed in the applications that might follow. This is a sample LOI form. A PDF version of the sample is available to download from CIT's website for your convenience. A reminder, though, that all LOIs must be submitted online. Hard copies or forms submitted by email will not be accepted. Once you complete all applicable fields on the online LOI form and click Submit, a confirmation of your submission will appear on your screen. An automatically generated email will also be sent to the applicant confirming receipt by CIT. Please note that it may take a little while for the system to release the email. If you do not receive the notification, however, within several hours of submission, please contact the CRCF team at crcf@cit.org. Within 3 business days of receipt, CIT will review the LOI and respond to the applicant. Those invited to submit an application and continue in the CRCF process will receive an email with next step instructions. Each invited applicant will also be assigned a unique reference number that will be used moving forward to identify the project. This number will be pre-populated into the application and should be used in the naming convention for documents uploaded into the application. All work under the FY2015 solicitation for all programs must align with one of 7 primary industry sectors. These sectors are advanced manufacturing, specifically for work in additive manufacturing, remote monitoring and sensing, and robotics; communications, specifically for work in next-generation broadband networks, wireless telecommunications, and next-generation 911 infrastructure; in cybersecurity; energy; information technology, specifically work in data analytics; in life sciences; and in modeling and simulation. Applicants may choose another industry sector in their application that work might relate to in a secondary nature, and information regarding all technology sectors can be found in Appendix B of each of the program guidelines. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, 6 programs are available this year, 3 for the private sector and 3 for academia, nonprofit research organizations, and political subdivisions. Subsequent webinars will focus specifically on these programs and the application process. Additionally, information can be found on CIT's website and in program guidelines. Complete information on the FY2015 solicitation can be found at the URL on your screen. Program-specific guidelines, as I've mentioned, are available via this link and then by clicking on the program name. The guidelines detail eligibility criteria, required format, and information to be included in the proposal, as well as conditions specific to the program and those common to all programs. Applicants must refer to these guidelines in preparing their LOIs and applications. Also available at this link are FAQs, proposal and budget narrative templates, sample applications, and the link to submit the LOI. Additional live webinars have been scheduled. The dates, times, and links to register are also available. With that, I'm happy to take any questions that you have using the webinar's questions function. If there's nothing that you have at the moment to ask, I certainly direct you to our CRCF@CIT.org email address. Our team is available to answer any questions that you may have through the LOI or application process.